Well, as promised, Nick Ring joins us now in the studio. Nick, thanks for being here.
Yeah, you got it. No problem.
And yeah, he was one of the fighters featured in that piece by Sasha. So, Nick, I have to ask, first time the big league of mixed martial arts was in Calgary. What did it feel like to have it in your hometown?
Well, I gotta say, it was incredible to have the UFC come to Calgary. In my hometown. Like, this is where I started my whole martial arts career back in 1994. Needless to say, it was a much smaller martial arts scene. Back in those days, to watch it grow from that point, to where it is right now. It's been absolutely incredible. To think that, you know, organization like the UFC would come to my town. It's not many people get that privilege, and I happen to be one of them. And to get to fight on the very debut event, I'm very lucky.
So, one thing that comes anytime, not just Calgary, but anytime they break a new market, that is the UFC, comes the excitement, obviously, the sense that fans want to see it, but also this idea that there's a discussion about the violence. There's a controversy and a discussion surrounding the appropriateness of the sport and whether it fits in any particular community when they break a new market. What do you think of that? Not in terms of your opinion on the violence, but do you think that discussion is fair?
Do you mean the discussion on like whether violence is fair or that it's breaking?
Whether,
what is your question exactly?
yeah, basically I want to know, do you think it's okay that they talk about it? Do you think, oh, well, it's a sport now, they shouldn't even discuss whether it's violent or not? Or do you think it's fair that certain segments of the public and certain segments of the media will actually say,
Well, of course, the sport is violent. The sport is, that is the marketing right there. People have been watching contests between man and man for centuries. This is the oldest sport in the whole world. Is fighting. I don't care what anybody says. It's the only sport that every single species in the animal kingdom partakes in.
Okay.
So I don't think that there is anything wrong with that fundamentally. People they pay for it. They enjoy watching it, and not only that, the combatants. We're all voluntary. We like doing it as well. It is there is more to it than just violence and being a fight, because we are highly trained athletes. We're skilled people. We work on these things, and we go in, to showcase those skills.
And the market speaks to that. I think it's a matter of personal preference. Do you mind that this becomes a discussion every time?
Well,
I
I
get
don't.
tired of it.
I don't mind that it becomes a discussion, but if you don't like it, don't watch.
Sure.
I've got the freedom of choice of partaking in it. You got the freedom of choice to either watch or turn it off. So.
So for you, what attracted you to combat sports and martial arts in the first place, like versus other types of sports? Did you always like the martial arts?
It's funny. I always did like the martial arts. The very, very, very first movie I ever saw that got me into martial arts was Ninja Turtles. Yeah, it's funny because I can hear people like giggling back there, but they all know what I'm talking about. I got into karate like when I was young. Then I started watching the Rocky movies. I loved it, and then like a little bit later, I got into Bloodsport. Now, Bloodsport was the first movie of its kind because it actually pitted martial art versus martial art. This is kind of a proto UFC type of a scenario because it had never been done at this point. When that movie had come out, there was no such thing as the UFC, and it was actually a very novel idea. Put one martial art versus another in a kind of a no rules, like no holds barred environment. And it was like as a kid, I liked watch, I liked it. When the UFC came out, I remember going to Blockbuster Video and seeing this Ultimate Fighting Championship. And, when I rented it, it was sort of like the Kumite from the Bloodsport era movie or whatever. But it was in real life, in real time, and you got to see what what really happens, and it was kind of a put up and shut up approach to martial arts, right? And that was always the big debate back in those old days with martial arts is how would karate do against kung fu or wrestling do against boxing and that kind of thing, and this This is a place for combatants to actually try it out.
Okay. What age did you start actually taking contact? Whether it was through kickboxing, full contact karate, or jiu-jitsu?
Contact would have been, I started doing Muay Thai in 1994. I was 15 years old at the time. I'm 33. Yeah, and that's basically where I started taking a martial art that allowed contact and allowed full contact. I started competing in kickboxing competitions, and I went from there. As things became available, I was able to get into some grappling stuff, and I started wrestling, I started boxing, and just kind of adding piece by piece together as it kind of came into my, came to be available for me.
Okay. Something that does come up, and I think this is out of a legitimate public concern, a segment of the public anyway. This whole idea about the head trauma, it comes up with football and hockey as well, and there's a Canadian fighter you'll know, one of the first Canadian UFC stars, Gary Goodridge. A number of articles have come out indicating that his life now is not so pleasant after 12 years and 85 fights. Do you ever, for yourself, having been in contact martial arts for so long, look down the road and worry about head trauma, brain injuries, anything like that?
Well, I definitely, I think that any contact sport you play, there's a head trauma component. I don't think that MMA specifically is one that's any worse than any other sport. Football, for instance, that is the #1 concussion sport in the whole world. Followed by hockey. That's the #2 concussion sport in the whole world. Like MMA, it's actually relatively low on the list for what kind of concussions you get and how bad they are. I mean, I find it a little ironic too. Since the whole intent is to hurt the guy, it's not even #1 on the list. So, there's a lot of controversy about like how violent and like blah blah blah. How should we allow combat sports or whatever? But before we even discuss that, I mean, maybe we should get rid of the sports that are #1 on the lists for concussions.
Okay, but you are personally, it's something that's on your mind when you compete?
Well, you know what, like when you volunteer for this kind of a sport, you understand that there is a risk, right? Now, there is 2 ways you can go into a competition. I mean, yeah, you can go rock 'em, sock 'em, or you can play more of a conservative game. So, there's a lot of ways to fight. There's a lot of ways to, I guess, mitigate some of those risks, and you got to decide what kind of fighter you want to be. So, I don't know. I don't think there is an easy answer. I mean, it is you want to protect yourself, but if you're a competitor, you love competing, right? We have in the UFC and all martial arts organizations, we have doctors that look out for the health of the fighters. That starts off with a pre-fight medical and a post-fight medical. And I mean, if you've got two combatants that are healthy and ready to go, I mean, then you let them do it. That's what the pre-fight medical's for. That's what the post-fight medical's for. And these are healthy people, so you let them.
In terms of your own career, you happen to be in a division that's been kind of dominated by the not Mark Messier, maybe Michael Jordan of your sport, the 185 division.
Oh, you're talking about Anderson.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
So your career, where do you go? I mean, do you look at that and say, well, I want a match with him, or are you anywhere close to that? How do you want your career to go, your own career, being already 33 and a number of years deep in a very demanding sport?
Yes, well, obviously the 185 division is a very deep division. The competition level is very high. As a fighter, yeah, obviously you're working towards that, that title shot. And I think the important thing is you just got to take it fight by fight, looking for improvements where you can find them. And I'm not too hung up on what the end result is. Like, I'm just enjoying the process. I like to fight, I like to compete, and I like to see improvements. So as long as I'm seeing these things, I'm just going to take it fight by fight, and we'll see where it goes.
Okay. Having said that, looking at your last fight, a very grueling back and forth battle, and people even said it was controversial, right? Does that ever tempt you to finish more, knowing, okay, people saw a decision and they thought, I just wanted to see it finished? Does that
Am I worried about
motivate
what
you?
people think or say?
Well,
No,
do
not
you
really.
want to finish?
Well, you know what? You want to finish a fight. The quicker you finish it, the less likely you're going to get hurt. Is that always possible? No, not really. Like, I mean, it depends on the opponent, and it depends on what your opportunity is or what opportunities get made. And I don't know. It's easy to say, it's hard to do, right? So I mean, you go in there, you fight your best, and just see where the chips fall.
Fair enough. And in terms of a finish that might be easier, we do have a bit of time for you to demonstrate one of the most dominant finishing holds in all of mixed martial arts. So Mark Bennett, a NUTV volunteer, is going to come up, and if you could demonstrate a rear naked choke on him without squeezing, of course. We do need Mark, so we'll kind of angle you off sideways.
Mark is essential, so
Mark is essential.
I promise I won't kill him.
Please do.
All right.
Promise that is, not kill him.
Well, he's a little taller than me, so he's gonna come down.
All right.
So I'll just have to kick him down to size.
It's down to size now.
All right. Okay, moving. So we've got tape we have to stand on. Okay, down, 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 down. All right, so this is a rear naked choke. Okay, this arm's gonna come right here, across the neck. This one's gonna thread in, come to here, and come to here. So I squeeze. This cuts off the carotid arteries on both sides, cuts off blood to the brain, and it takes a total of anywhere from 7 to 10 seconds before he goes out. Now, would you like to try that, Mark? Yeah, I'm gonna volunteer myself, okay? So this is called a rear choke or a rear naked choke. So we'll keep it PG, but whatever. So
Please do that too.
Here, okay, that arm threads through like this. Just follow my motion.
He cut himself with scissors. It's an issue.
This is gonna take a while.
Thankfully,
Okay, yeah, here.
all right.
All right, okay, that just goes to the back of the head. Squeeze your elbows together.
Crank it, Mark. Quick, you have 7 seconds.
Harder, harder.
Excellent. Wow.
Oh boy, you know what? I felt the blood, going away from the brain. I got dizzy there. You did a good job.
Thank you, Mark. And
All right.
that was Mark Bennett, and this is Nick Ring. Nick, thank you so much for your time.
You got it.
All right, folks, we'll be back with more Full Frontal live right after this.